Welcome to Local Gods. My name is Marco Liu.
And I'm James Han.
And today our guest is Johan Lam. He is the co-owner of 316, Selfridge, and MAAPS. Did I get everything? Yeah. Is there more? I feel like there's always something more.
Husband first, dad first, but all of those things, yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And coffee enthusiast, right? I think you came and dropped off an espresso machine on the way here.
I did. I am a coffee lover. I got into it a while back, but I'm not an expert by any means. But one of my machines that I have at the office now broke, and so there is an espresso machine technician not too far from here, so I dropped it off over there to get some work done on it.
Wow. I mean, I feel like this entire conversation with you will be about craft.
Yeah.
And it's something, I think with creatives, craft can be a touchy subject because I literally had an illustrator friend call me out and say, like, you can't really call filmmakers craftsmen because they don't necessarily work with their hands. They're like typing on keyboards or like using a mouse.
Rude.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But I feel like everything you do has a lot to do with craft because you really are working with your hands with a lot of things. I mean, just to start off, what is 316? How would you describe that to someone that has not encountered your brand before or knows a little bit about it but doesn't know what 316 is about?
Yeah. I mean, the idea of craft, it's really like the idea of quality and caring about the origins and the reasons behind doing anything that you do. So whether that is coffee, as we touched on, understanding the origins of where the coffee beans came from and how that affects the flavor of it, how that affects how people decide to roast that coffee, then the type of machinery that you buy, the type of preparation that you use to brew the coffee, all of those things. And so applying that sort of idea, that sort of care to many things in your life, whether it be clothing or whether it be music or whether it be podcasting or whether it be filmmaking. It's less about making things with your hands per se, specifically using your hands to craft something, and more so about thinking deeply about what you're making and applying a high bar of quality to what you're making. So for 316, for example, we're entering our 22nd year in business.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Crazy.
It's
of
nuts.
legal drinking age.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a rare thing for a clothing brand to survive that long.
Is there a number that's like typical? If they hit 3 years, then they're.
I don't know what the number is, but it's got to be like 3 to 5 years, or you know, like you either make it huge, and then you become, you know, a tens of millions, hundreds of millions type brand that gets bought out by larger, company owners that own a portfolio of brands, like a LVMH or something like that. But as an independent brand, it's pretty rare for a brand to survive. I always like to say survive.
Sure.
Survive, you know, 22 years. So it's probably like 5 years, 7 years. But there's plenty of brands that, you know, t-shirt brands or whatever, just like how we started out, that pop up and are gone in 7 months, 9 months, you know.
I was with you guys back in the t-shirt brand days.
Yeah.
From what I understand, you also fill a lot of those orders, especially back then, because I remembered sending out emails saying, for those mystery grab bags, could you possibly put this or that in? And wasn't sure if you were the secret Santa fulfilling those orders. But
those were packed out of my living room.
Wow.
In my house. So we started the brand. I was 18. I was about to start at USC.
Fight on.
Andrew, yes, sir. Andrew was newly graduated from University of Chicago. He was working a full-time job. And he and another partner decided to start a brand. His other partner was a graphic designer who's based in New York, and they wanted to start a clothing brand. And when they started, it was easy stuff. It was t-shirts, you know, hoodies, hats, like printables, basically like anything that a school club or whatever could.
What I would do
could
for
make.
merch.
Yeah, exactly.
For my
merch. It was.
stuff.
I mean, that's how it started.
Yeah.
And over time, it sort of built as we met the right factories, as we started to understand really how to make clothing. It sort of really became a full-fledged clothing brand from there. And so the idea that we were initially talking about craft is something that we really try to apply to everything that we make today as designers, whether it be a pair of jeans that we hope will last someone decades.
Can you tell?
Very nice. I noticed.
Rocking the product.
I appreciate that.
I didn't even have to say it. Well, I kind of did. You know, you probably noticed it, huh?
I did.
Nice. You know your creation,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. I mean, that particular fabric, we have been making for 15 years, maybe.
You know it simply from sight. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Like, what
Yeah,
about?
100X denim. That's like our flagship core denim.
Yeah, I've known of it, but I wouldn't be able to differentiate with like other denim raw. You know, like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like from my perspective, because we went to college together, and so I was buying those graphic tees, and I think I had a favorite piece. It was like a pinstripe hoodie. I don't know if that rings a bell.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so that was really fun. And then I remembered the transition more to denim.
Yeah.
And for me, especially now, like understanding more about Japanese production, like there was a famous article a few years ago in the Wall Street Journal, Made Better in Japan, where I think a lot of Americans started realizing like, oh, wow, Japanese denim wasn't just a thing. It was something that was valuable. There was a preciosity to that. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about how you guys really dove in? Because that's a huge aspect of craft.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. We started transitioning out of the world of streetwear. We were kind of forced out in a way, naturally by the market. So streetwear as we knew it, those years between 2003, 2006, 2007, that wave of independent streetwear experienced a huge boom and then a huge crash. So the huge boom was those early years, 2003 and 2004. There were a lot of independent graphic t-shirt brands that were getting really popular. And there were a ton of independent streetwear boutiques that opened up almost in every major city, multiple in every major city around the US. And then around the same time, there was a huge economic crash. There was a housing bubble. And
I remember.
that affected so many industries, but it specifically from our experience, it affected the streetwear industry, and a ton of stores shuttered around 2007 and 2008. We were starting to, as I said, design clothing, and the type of clothing, we were already sort of transitioning in terms of the graphics that we were making to sort of darker themes, less colorful, less playful. And so naturally, we were already being seen as more of a mature, you could say, streetwear brand. And then when we started coming out with clothing, it was just almost too simple and too expensive for a lot of those streetwear boutiques to carry. A lot of our contemporaries, other streetwear brands, were making still like very loud, very colorful cut and sew. When they would make hoodies or jackets or even jeans, it would be very logo driven, very graphics driven, very loud. So the type of clothing that we wanted to make and that we decided to make wasn't sitting and wasn't desired by streetwear boutiques at that time. So, and then at the same time, a lot of them closed their doors. So naturally, we had to find new boutiques in order to stay alive. And so we had to sort of shift gears in terms of the types of stores that were carrying our brand and the types of brands that we would sit next to. One of those products that we had in the line was a pair of raw denim jeans. And it really just took off. Like the jeans took off for us. They were well made. They were made in the US. They were at a really solid price point for the quality that you were getting. And it was sort of like, as with all things, like the right time in the market, you know? Like, I don't think anybody is foolish enough to say that they could predict these sort of things and that they knew that this was going to be a hit. We were trying to make something that we thought was good, and the market responded well to it. So at the same time, we partnered with a really good friend of ours and his wife, Kia and Dimitra Babzani. In 2006, they had opened Self Edge in San Francisco, and it was one of the first stores in North America to bring over a lot of these heritage Japanese denim brands. And so before that, for people that were really into Japanese brands, they would have to buy via proxy.
Oh, so, it was that rare?
Yeah, wow. Super rare. So what that means is most of the stores in Japan that would sell these products, they didn't ship outside of Japan. Oftentimes, all the websites were in Japanese, very hard to navigate. Sizing is difficult to figure out.
Yeah.
And so people on forum boards would find someone in Japan that offered this service. That person in Japan would buy the product for them, and then they would ship it to the US.
Wow.
So it's sort of a middleman,
yeah.
But it's called proxying. Now, you got to be like, you got to want it bad if you're going to go via proxy.
If you need a broker to get you some jeans, wow.
You're paying, at that time, the exchange rate was not good.
Yeah.
There's obviously no returns. You know, you got to guess on sizing. A lot of this stuff is shrink to fit. So it's unsanitized, so it's going to shrink a bunch before you start wearing it. So you had to really be down. You had to want it bad. So that's where forum boards came in, because you could discuss with other people who have experienced it, who could provide sizing help, you know, like, this is how I messed up, don't make the same mistakes as me, that sort of thing. So Kia and Dimitra, they courted all of these Japanese brands. They wrote them letters. They went to visit them multiple times until they had a nice roster of brands that believed in them, that said, okay, we trust you to bring our brands to the North American market. And so they opened the first store in 2006, had great success. Me and Andrew partnered with Kia and Dimitra to open Self Edge New York first in 2009, and then Self Edge LA in 2010.
Wow.
And how that benefited 316 is we were the lone made in America denim brand sitting next to all of these highly coveted Japanese brands. And we were using Japanese denim that we designed and worked with the mill to create. But it was made in America, so it was still a slightly lower price point than some of these Japanese brands that were very expensive to import. And so for customers that were being introduced to the world of Self Edge or the world of Japanese denim, it was sort of a nice entry level into the whole world of raw denim or salvage denim. And so that was huge for us. And then Andrew and I, it was still just Andrew and I at that time. We were just so tired. I'm tired now. We were so tired back then. We had no employees. We were doing everything ourselves. We were going to all the trade shows ourselves, Vegas, Berlin,
where they have a lot of the trade
New York. Yeah. It used to be Vegas, like super heavy. And so we were doing all the trade shows. We were doing all the sampling. We were doing all the production. I was shipping things out of my house. And so we decided, okay, let's really focus all of our resources, both our time, our energy, but also all of our finances into just denim. So we stopped making, at that time, we were making button-up shirts in New York. We were making ties in New York. We were making footwear in Maine. We were making all sorts of things. And so we decided to really pare back the brand and just focus on denim for a couple of years and allow the company to fulfill and try to meet the demand.
Yeah.
as much as possible, and then regrow the company from there and add back different categories. So it ended up being a great decision for us. We still make the same jeans that we were making back then.
Yeah. That's insane.
And then we added all of these products. So now it's full collection. Now it's footwear, eyewear, jackets, t-shirts, everything.
I have a question that came to mind
Yeah.
when it comes to like, when it comes to any purist
Yeah.
or anything related to craft,
Yeah.
people have this conversation around like, how do you feel about fusion? The idea of fusion when it comes to food,
Yeah.
music, or anything.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you and Andrew lean more like go for the purist route, or how do you even approach that conversation? Because I'm always curious how people feel about it.
Yeah. It depends on what it is. I mean, I am not so like hard and fast about my personal beliefs that I worry too much about what other people are doing. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's like, I know what I like, I know what I value, I know what I care about, and that's for me. You know?
So he's not
like,
snobby about it. That's what
I
he's
try
saying.
Not
not to,
dogmatic.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I appreciate that.
I try not to be, but I also recognize like everybody is at a different point in their journey of understanding of whatever it is. So I tend to lean towards and listen to the experts in that field, which I generally am not. So if it's coffee, I go to the experts that I know in the coffee field to help me better understand what it is that I'm experiencing or trying to achieve in terms of my own coffee experience. Same thing goes for food. I think for people, I know a lot of chefs, I know a lot of restaurant owners, and I think it almost comes full circle in that some people early on in their journey become very obsessed with like the rules of it, but you almost have to learn the rules and experience the rules to break the rules.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
And so if people who have a lot of experience in that industry have come full journey to fusion, whatever that may mean, then I see that as they have a good understanding of what the history of it, what the origin of it was, and now they are pushing the envelope in whatever avenue they deem is quality or that excites them even. If someone's been making pizza forever and they've done Neapolitan pizza the way that it is done, and they want to do something slightly different or bring in a different part of their heritage, you can call that fusion, but that's like true to that chef, right? So I am less concerned about what everyone else is doing, I want to at least have an understanding of what the history of it was.
Yeah, because you have to put so much care into it. There's a certain what we've noticed about you. Well, I noticed on the podcasts that you've been on, and just the way you approach your craft. There's like a certain appreciation and a groundedness that I noticed that I'm like, man, I should slow down too. I should really engage with the present, be present with what it is, and appreciate where it comes from.
Yeah.
And there's like a real cherishing of whatever it is you are interested in. And that inspires me, because we're in a land of fast fashion, fast everything, trends.
Yeah.
And when someone is able to harness their energy and focus and cherish something, it actually is inspiring,
You go fast, you crash.
It's true.
So
Words to live by. Serious.
I mean,
It rhymes too.
Yeah.
I think it's just getting old. I'm old. I have kids. I'm getting old. I don't have a lot of time in my day. I don't have a lot of free time to do exactly what I want. And so you realize like there's so many forms of wealth in this life, and one of those is time, free time to do what you want. And if that resource is finite, if it becomes more scarce in your life, then you value it more, and you are more careful about how you spend that time.
For sure. And I think like so much of what you're talking about, not only is this respect for the past and heritage and all that, but there is definitely a very personal take on it. So I'm sure you've heard this all your life, but as long as I could remember, from college on up till now, it's like people will be like, Johan has style. Like for him, I don't even know if kids use the term steez anymore, but
Ooh, I like steez, man.
You definitely embody style with ease. And
Max
for a
Aura.
lot, for a lot of guys, especially guys as they get older, that becomes more and more difficult, and it becomes even more abstract because you're not really knowing who you're dressing up for, or you're kind of stuck in this loop. So I'm kind of curious if you have like a personal styles philosophy that you could share that could help people that are just wearing polos and khakis every day because that's their work uniform and they just end up wearing it all through the weekend.
Yeah. I love uniform. I mean, I prescribe, I love dressing as uniform and like wearing the same things over and over again. I think that's cool. Partially because the clothing that I'm into and the clothing that we make, we aim for it to be really durable, and we aim for it, hopefully like a pair of raw denim, to get better over time. So this is something that I am really drawn to and something that I love about what we do as a company, and also what the types of brands that we sell at Self Edge is, and I've talked about this before, like there are so few things in your life that get better with time.
Facts.
Your iPhone does not get better with time.
My battery life already sucking.
It gets worse. Your car does not get better with time. It loses half its value as soon as you drive it off the lot. Like very few things in your life get better with time. Very few products, specifically. And so we're trying to make a product that becomes more beautiful with time. That's a freeing idea because now you're not so precious with the thing. Now you're not so like, I only get 10 wears. You know, people that are really into sneakers, they don't want to wear the sneakers because they're losing value. You know, they're you know, there's always those memes about people who have fresh J's and they're like heel striking when they walk because they don't want to put creases in their shoes. So like, I love wearing the same thing all the time. You know, I love wearing a pair of jeans and having one pair of jeans and wearing it for 2 years because it gets more beautiful with time, and then it's also like mentally freeing. But that comes, you know, like I think a personal sense of style only comes with time. It only comes with understanding what works for you, understanding your body shape, and it also only comes with like a certain level of self-acceptance.
Dude, that's deep.
Like, I mean, I don't want to get super
go.
deep with everything, but like, if you like, I would say, I hate to judge the way other people dress, like I really don't care, but if you look at someone who looks uncomfortable or doesn't look good in what they're wearing, oftentimes it's because they are prescribing to a trend or a style that doesn't necessarily suit their body shape or just their personality, you know? And so naturally that discomfort that they may feel wearing it like emits through whatever aura or whatever, you know? Like so I think, you know, as with all things, self-understanding is super important. Understanding your body shape, understanding what works for you, understanding you know, what fits properly, and then not switching it up every 6 months as the wind changes, as the wind blows.
Yeah, we've talked about this, like, just because I have big legs, so it's been a whole journey since college, I think. Once my fashion eyes got opened, I've been trying to find the right pants or figure out the right way to fit to my body. And for me, I resonate, bro. Like it was a whole journey of self-acceptance because I could not accept that my legs were humongous and I couldn't wear skinny jeans at the time.
Those skin tight Lululemons, like,
and I didn't do it because every time I try it on, I'll be like, ugh, why can oh no, I can't do this. So I would always opt for the wide or straight fit at the time when it was not popular. And I had a hard time accepting that. So I just would stick with like black. So that, you know, it would mask some of the
has
thickness.
A slimming effect.
Slimming effect, or even how to, you know, cuff it. Like we've literally, I've like sent you pictures. I'm like, is this good? And you're like, just like bring it up a little bit. You know? I'm like, all right.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, those are trends, right? Like there was a long period of time where everybody was into jeans fitting as slim as possible. people will come into the stores just like so obsessed with leg opening. Leg opening is a measurement of the bottom of your jean.
Oh yeah.
And they would come in with tape measures and they'd be like, okay, I need a 6.5 inch leg opening.
Wow.
And now
It's like, what, 18,
flipped.
20?
Now it's flipped completely. People want as wide, loose, baggy as possible, and then it's going to swing back the other way. Like it's already starting to swing back the other way. So, you know, there is a way to, you know, follow and dress that is timely and fitting with, you know, the general zeitgeist, but without swinging so extreme in either direction, and understanding what works for you and what is true to you, you know?
What would be the 316 uniform? Like if you were to create a character in a video game or a cartoon, what is the uniform? And give me colors. Give me, you know?
It's sort of, it's changed over the past couple of years, I would say, but
currently,
currently it would be RS 100X, which is relaxed straight in that denim. Is that RS fit or is it C?
Yeah,
okay,
it's the relaxed. Okay. It's the biggest one.
Okay, yeah. So relaxed straight, which is high rise, roomy in the thigh, roomy all the way down the leg. In our raw 100X denim, that's, let's get real technical, 14.5 ounces, sanforized, custom woven for us in Okayama, Japan. Really rigid on the outside, really soft on the inside, so it's nice to wear right off the bat, but it breaks in and fades really nicely. A little starchiness to it, so those creases, as they form to your body, they're going to set, and then over years they'll fade, and they'll be true to your body. So like one thing that we never really messed with too much is pre-distressing denim. For me, part of this is self-acceptance. I am short. You know, I have come to somewhat accept that about myself, but that's the hand that God dealt me. And so if I were to ever try and buy pre-distressed denim, it would not look right on my body because the thighs would be down where my knees are, the backs of the knees would be down where my calves are, the knee fades would be, because it's supposed to match an ergonomic fit, ergonomic fade, right? So with raw denim, that's not going to happen. That is true to your body. The fades that you put into that jean, the wear over years is going to be true to your body.
It's all natural right here.
Exactly. So
Don't say anything.
sorry, back to the question. Okay.
There.
that pair of jeans, we came
in this
out,
wash, okay.
Yeah. We came out with a pair of square toe side zip boots that are made in Portugal that we cannot keep in stock. They literally, every time we put them out, they sell out within probably an hour.
Yeah, I tried to buy one.
Wow.
They sold out, bro.
So they're square toe. It's sort of an old military style square toe with a faux moccasin sort of shape on the toe, side zip, so they're very easy on and off, black leather. Really beautiful. You could dress them up, you could dress them down. They look great when they're beat up.
And it helps the wide foot people. I have wide feet.
Yep.
So all those pointy looking Chelsea boots, I hate them. I actually don't buy any. I only buy square toes.
Yep. Yeah. So that would be the boot. T-shirt, probably like an undershirt. We make a really great heavyweight T-shirt that we've been making for years. The fabric is knit for us in Canada. And then we cut and sew the T-shirts in San Francisco. It's like a really sort of vintage style heavyweight T-shirt. You can size up and wear it like as a normal T-shirt, or you can wear it as an undershirt, a little bit more fitted. So that
white? You said white shirt or
white?
Black? Ooh,
it's tough. I would say keep it classic. You go white.
Okay.
White undershirt.
Okay. And then they're wearing something on top of it, or
yeah, I would. This hoodie actually is about to come out in a week or two.
Dude, I was looking at it, bro. When you said aged well, I was like
it?
Yes.
Yeah. We're calling this ultra weight French terry pullover.
Oh, it's
French terry, bro.
French terry.
Come on, man.
It's French terry. So to get more technical again, if you're looking at your fleece, if it's fuzzy on the inside, that means that all the little loops have been brushed,
Yeah.
combed so that it's fuzzy.
Okay.
Okay. If your fleece on the inside has the little loops like a towel, that means it hasn't been brushed. So that's French terry versus fleece. So all the loops are intact from the way that the fabric is knit. So this does not have that brushing on the inside. It has all the little loops still intact. French terry, and then it's cut and sewn. The fabric is made here in Southern California. It's cut and sewn in San Francisco, and then it's garment dyed here in Southern California also. We call this color smoke. So this is like our idea of like a vintage black that's been washed a million times.
Nice.
And I've also worn and washed this like almost constantly since I've had it for the
Take
past
my
6
money,
months.
dude. Just take
So-
my wallet, man.
Yeah, you want to just send over your bank account information?
yeah.
We'll do
I'll
like
send
a
you all that,
bi-weekly
Yeah,
draw. or
exactly. Exactly.
Dang, bro.
something. That. So that.
Okay.
Some sort of vest. This vest we made with our good friend Thomas Hooper, who is one of the best tattoo artists in the world, pioneer for black, geometric. He's like makes beautiful mandalas, does beautiful like full body suits and stuff like that. So he's based in the UK now, but was in New York, was in Texas, a good friend of ours. So we designed this with him. He did some of the artwork.
Whoa.
There's
Dang. Okay.
a big embroidery on the back.
Cool.
So some sort of vest. We make a vest, a couple of vests every season, especially for Southern California. It's a good way to like layer and keep your body warm without getting too hot. And then you could throw like it's raining today, throw a big rain jacket on
Yeah.
top of that.
Yeah.
And then some sort of beanie. I mean, I'm basically describing my personal uniform, but like basically something.
This sounds like a
that
Bay
is
Area
like-
transplant
is
to Southern
like-
California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you speak so beautifully about 316, selfage, all of the clothes and the personal thought that goes into it. Something I actually have not been able to come across you talk much about is the business that you run with your wife,
Yeah.
MAAPS. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I feel like scent is like that other like tactile like thing that like it completes this whole world, right? Because what you see, what you feel, what you smell.
Yeah, I'm super sensitive to smells. And smells also are for me, a big driver of memory. And so oftentimes if I smell something, it will immediately take me somewhere or take me back to a memory that I've had. So that's sort of the idea behind the name MAAPS. Like it has the ability to transport you somewhere. MAAPS is an incense company. We sort of expanded a little bit to more home goods, but it's a brand that me and my wife work on. It's incense that's made here in Southern California, along with candles, along with incense holders and incense accessories. And it's again trying to make a very high quality version of a thing that maybe some people have some experience with, or maybe some people are being introduced to for the first time. And so it's just a sort of fun side project that I wish I had more time to spend on. But it's just another way for me to sort of scratch that creative side of my brain in something that I don't normally get to do too often.
For someone that isn't beholden to trends, it feels like so many things that you're involved in are just so timely to right now. How do you maintain that pulse to that? Because it just feels like it's like almost second nature to you.
You know, a broken clock is right twice a day. I think like I've been doing everything for so long that like it's sort of, sometimes it aligns with what is timely and sometimes it doesn't. Like, you know, we've been making those jeans since 2008. There was a huge boom in like menswear and a huge like desire for raw denim around 2012, right? So it's like we were sort of doing what we do. The trends and the fashion market writ large came and sort of like aligned with what we were doing, and then around 2016, everybody was wearing joggers, and it sort of like split. Everybody went a different
Oh,
direction.
the Roshi era.
Roshi era, jogger era, like everything was like cuffed. Every
Yeah.
pant, every jean had a
And had the elastic?
cuff, every,
Oh, that
every
was-
pant, every sweatpant,
Ooh.
And so, and then it's coming back again, sort of like aligning with what we make. And so, I just try and live a very like plodding, steady, resolute sort of life, And so there are times where the market really aligns with what we're doing, and that's great. Business is really good. And then there are times where the market veers off and goes in a different direction, and we still, I think, have enough of a customer base that that align with the way that we see clothing to sustain us and to keep us alive. And so, with all business, it's never like a steady trajectory upwards. There's always an ebb and flow to it. And so, MAAPS we came out with, I don't even remember the year, 2016, 2018, something like that. So it's been around for a while. And, 316 I mentioned, Self Edge I mentioned. So all of these things I've been doing for a long time. And, sometimes people don't care much about it, and sometimes it really aligns with like everything that's going on in the market or in the world. Yeah.
Wow.
Get lucky.
To run into a lot of luck. But I think that speaks to your point of like broken clock is right twice a day, and persistence and having real belief in what you're doing goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, with all business, if I think you get lucky certainly, but you also try and make the right decision more often than not.
Yeah.
And I think, especially with clothing businesses, oftentimes where clothing businesses go wrong is when they get greedy.
Yeah, that's something you mentioned in one of the.
Yeah. I think I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is just like where you are as a person, as a business owner. If you are content in where you're at as a business owner, then the decisions that you make for that company are based out of that contentedness. If you are inherently greedy or maybe self-conscious or maybe envious of other business owners, or the dude that's driving a Lambo, or the dude that has stores all over the world, or whatever, then naturally the decisions that you make for your company are in order to get yourself there where you see that other person.
Right.
And, oftentimes it can pay off. You take a big swing, you can hit it out of the park, but more often than not, I think those big risks, especially with the clothing business, even if there's a big rise in your business, there's often a big crash afterwards. So for us, we try to make decisions that will sustain us, that keep the business growing, but not growing so fast that it's not sustainable, that it's not lasting growth. So that's
Were you
sort
like
of
this
like where,
before you got married and had kids?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't think I had to make the same decisions. I mean, like certainly as a business, I think initially it started off like I don't want to be like chasing. I don't want to be like envious of other people, whether it's like I've always just hated biters. Like I didn't like the idea of biting. Biting is like posing, or that's what we called it when we were kids. So just like
Swagger jackers.
Swagger jackers.
Yeah.
I just really like didn't like the lack of originality or the lack of like someone being true to themselves, you know? And so in clothing, that's often like, it's often rewarded because pioneers get slaughtered and settlers prosper, you know? So the people that come after the pioneer, oftentimes copying that idea, they're the ones that make money off of it. They're the ones that actually benefit off of it. But, you know, in terms of personal style, I always like, and there's not to say that I'm super original. Obviously everything is inspired by somebody else or inspired by like things that you see from other people. But I've come to a place where it is true to me, and true to like how I see myself, how I feel comfortable. So I think you were talking about like just style in general, and through a lot of therapy, I have come to realize, like, I grew up in a really small town up in Northern California, this little town called Petaluma. It's like a farming town. They call it the chicken basket of the world. It was like literally a farming town, very rural. And I grew up as one of very few Asian kids. Like there was one other girl in my grade that was Asian. She was Vietnamese. There was maybe like 5 in my middle school. So I grew up becoming accustomed to being different. And so early on in my junior high and into my high school years, I was trying to be cool, but also trying to dress myself in a way that would outwardly represent that difference that I felt or saw in myself.
I mean, does that remind you of anything? The color?
Oh yeah, did you hear that? I told that story in there. Yeah. So in junior high, I was like, I had a thing for orange, like bright orange. So yes, we all make mistakes, you know, as in our style journey, as you're like figuring out your personal style.
Look at the traffic cone. Man. This boy was dressing like a traffic cone.
So, you know, like orange polar tech fleece.
Oh, that's tight though.
Orange beanies, orange like big like baggy track pants.
You're ready to explore the Arctic, I guess.
Man, it was, yeah. So that was like my thing in junior high, and then just trying to I was like accepting. I was like, okay, I'm different. I'm cool with that. I like, you know, I'm comfortable being different. And so I sort of was trying to like accentuate that. And then in high school, right before high school, we moved to Millbrae, which is just south of San Francisco. And all of a sudden, I was not different anymore. Half the school was Asian, and I was one of, you know.
Trip. Whoa.
It was crazy. I was so uncomfortable. And I didn't know what to do with myself because naturally I felt like I should gravitate towards this group of kids, but everything else was pushing me towards the Asian Americans.
Yeah.
And it took a while for me to navigate that and sort of figure out where I could make friends and where I could fit in.
Well, and it's cool. In that story you were telling, you noticed like your older friends dressed a certain like Yakuza or like.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was more like triad.
Oh, triad. Okay,
like,
yeah.
Young and dangerous Hong Kong style.
Yeah, like it was just so different from anything that I had ever seen or experienced. My good friend Ted, his older brother, was a senior when we were freshmen, and they would wear like all black, kind of preppy. So like a leather jacket or a long coat, black slacks, black dress shoes, a sweater underneath. And it was crazy. It was just like so different than anything. I mean, imagine like I'm coming from a little tiny town in Northern California, like up in Sonoma County in Northern California, you know, just like sort of figuring out style, but having no money, having no like access to anything. And then seeing all of these older dudes that were walking around this way and driving like rice rockets, like souped up, you know, Japanese cars. And then sort of like trying to emulate that, but then realizing like that's not necessarily like what I am or what works for me, you know. It was crazy. I think that was it was pretty distinct to certain pockets of Northern California, maybe Southern California, and maybe like a very specific like time frame. Because then after that, like after those dudes graduated, it really went towards like the Rockaware, Sean John, Academics, Johnny Blaze, those sorts of brands is where like high school kids gravitated towards around that time. Yeah.
Amazing. Dude, I feel like we can talk to you all day. We're getting history lesson and a philosophy lesson.
Yeah.
But we'll probably need to have you back some other time to be able to talk even more about like your background, all that. But, we do have a gift for you though.
Oh, yes. We have a little gift.
What do we have?
Mark, why don't you?
I mean, it's almost like a little embarrassing.
No,
because you're a master bench, but
don't look at the
I don't judge. Like I said, I don't judge. Oh, dope. Thank you.
Yeah, just wanted to give this to all of our guests for the first season. It's an inaugural season.
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate you being on. And
well, one thing we try to do and like to do at Local Gods is have 3 final questions.
Okay.
As we come to a close.
Yeah.
So the 3 questions are, where is home? And you've mentioned it before, but we just want to rifle it off.
Where is home?
Where do you call home?
Ooh. You know, home used to be the Bay Area, but my family has all moved down to Southern California. My older sister lives like all over the world now. So home is wherever my wife and kids are. Is home. And home could, you know, like at this point in my life, I think home could be anywhere. I fantasize of moving out of the country with
Japan.
everything that's going on.
Yeah.
It'd be hard. It's, you know, you don't want to like pick up and move kids while they're
Yeah.
in school and they've built their life and stuff. But at this point, home is where my wife and kids are.
Okay.
That could be anywhere.
for sure.
Yeah.
To piggyback off that, then what is your favorite thing to eat at home?
Ooh, my favorite thing to eat at home. My wife's cooking, could be anything. Like we have like a handful of things that we rotate between that work well enough for my kids, because it's always tough getting kids to eat. You know, try to get them to eat like somewhat healthy.
Make sure it's not a fries-based meal.
Yeah. Yo, like when you have kids, like chicken tenders, everywhere you go, they want chicken tenders. And you can basically get them anywhere. So you try to limit the chicken tenders as much as possible. So like anything my wife cooks, whether it's like baked salmon over rice, like just simple like sort of Chinese dishes. She makes great pasta. But anything home cooked, somewhat healthy. You don't feel too guilty eating it afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then last one is currently, what's like your favorite song or song that's on rotation?
Oh shit.
Currently, like this month.
Okay. This is weird. It is a classical song called Planets, Opus 32.
Oh, like romantic era.
Something
or like,
something Jupiter. If you search those terms on Apple Music or
Say it
Spotify
again?
or whatever, Planets, Opus, it's either 2 or 32.
Okay.
And Jupiter is in the name. It's like a really long classical composition sort of title.
Cool.
I don't know why. So, okay, this is the reason why I've been playing it a lot recently. I put on classical music while my kids were doing homework because I was like, let me just help you guys a little bit, because you guys are
The classic Chinese strategy.
not focused right now.
Let's stir this.
And then the song came on this playlist, and it's a song that is used in the cartoon Bluey, which is like a super popular kids cartoon right now. My kids are kind of over it, but it's beautiful. And so I've been really into it. And then it reminded me of this old trance song from my high school days called Heart of Asia.
Yeah.
Heart of Asia.
Have you heard of this song before?
Who's the?
I don't
the
even
DJ?
remember who originally, but it was at the time of like ATB
Yeah.
was at the time of like,
classic trance era.
you know,
Okay,
like
yeah.
Darude, Sandstorm.
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
sort of-
yeah.
Heart of Asia was a song that we listened to in high school and would like glow stick to and stuff. And it was.
Oh,
it's
doing
like-
this stuff?
Yes, it was, but it was like it was essentially like a classical melody over trance beats, kind of,
Oh,
with
okay,
like
okay.
a sort of like Southeast Asian flair to it.
Sure.
So I was like, someone needs to make a trance song using this planet. So, anyways, check it out. It is a beautiful classical.
Yeah, we'll listen
piece
to
of-
it. Yeah.
Listen to
On the right back.
My kids love Kendrick right now. I have
sure.
to. I can only play the clean version of the song. So
No.
they ask for Squabble Up and TV off every time we get in the car. Every time, yeah.
Wow.
And then the baby loves Party Up also by DMX.
Oh, that's
okay.
that is a true
But
millennial
also, it's
classic.
got to be the clean version because
Yeah.
they
Yes.
know all the bad words now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, before we finish up, where can folks find you online if they want to find out more about your
Yeah.
brands and yourself?
On Instagram, it's Johan316, Johan, the number 316 spelled out. I am trying to not be on social media as much, but that's where if you want to connect with me, that's probably the best place on IG.
Great.
But yeah, come see me in person. Come. Let's do some like in real life. Come
Yeah.
see me at one of the stores.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh yeah. Well, Johan, thanks for joining us.
Thank
man.
you for
We
having me.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and
catch
got to do a little close off, huh? But we're a new podcast, Local Guides. So if you could like, subscribe, follow us, look at that the LED sign.
Official, super official.
Yeah, I know this joint's fire. Please, it'll help us a lot. But yeah, we're on all platforms. Please follow us, support us. We appreciate it.
Peace.
Yeah. Take care. Be easy.